Hey, this is Kalia, and today I'm speaking to Ken. And we're just gonna go over an experience he had and how he used consumer laws to help him with that situation. And at the end of it, if you have questions, you can definitely reach out and have him share his social media. So Ken, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Kalia?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So I just want to jump right in. I know you are a chef, but I know you also teach credit and how to build wealth in that area. But
Yeah,
what are some ways that really consumer laws or credit has helped you?
great question. So, as my journey began from credit repair, that's the way I basically came about learning about consumer law. I got into depth into it, learning through the Do For Yourself crew, the bureau bullies, and his mentors, and so on and so forth. And I've been following a couple lawyers and contact with a couple lawyers. Sorry, my dog. um, I learned about the consumer credit, well, consumer law, I should say.
Okay. So I know this because I know you outside of this recording, but can you share your recent experience and what happened that gave you an opportunity to execute some of the laws?
Okay, so after studying all this time, it gave me opportunity to use it. So a couple months ago, I had an issue where my plates were stolen off my vehicle. Regular New York life, people steal plates. I was driving over the bridge, and the police pulled me over. Didn't know my plates were stolen, and then it just happened to be on my registration just expired. So they literally impounded my vehicle on the side of on the highway, left me on the side of the highway. I literally had to walk like half a mile off exit ramp to find my way home. So I was just really mad. I was just like, there's nothing I can do. What can I really do about the situation? I was like, I've been studying all this law, so let's put it to work. So my court date came. He didn't show.
The
So
police officer?
the police officer didn't show.
Yeah.
But what they did try to do was push it back the date. So say since the officer didn't show up, we're gonna reschedule it. I was like, we're not rescheduling. And I'm the type of person where I'm a very more of an introvert person, so I like to speak too much. So what I did was I just wrote up an affidavit of truth stating who I was as a natural person and all the violations that was violated. And I just handed it to the judge. Literally, I was probably the third person up. She literally said, I'm gonna go over this. And she waited till the whole courtroom cleared out, then called me back up and she was like, did you write this or did you have your lawyer write this? I was like, I wrote this. And she started questioning me about it, about my statements on the AOT. And she realized I did write it and she just dismissed it right then and there.
So wait, do you think that she waited until everybody left because she didn't want people to hear like the information that you knew? Or
Well,
did she?
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Because there's no reason to why you needed to push me back just to ask me that. You could have just asked me that right then and there and we could have just kept it pushing, but she decided to wait, which I found weird because it kind of blew some of my day away because I was literally the third person up, second and third person up, and ended up being the last person to leave the courtroom.
So like just studying, knowing this information, and obviously like she gave you like a mini quiz to make sure it was legit.
Mhm.
Um, that's what helped get this dismissed.
Correct.
Man, see, and I wish people understood like how simple it is. Like it's a process and you have to learn it, but as long as you study and
That
you're
that's
taking in
that's
the
literally the hardest
information,
part.
that's the hardest part.
Is studying. That's literally the hardest part. Is literally studying because it's a lot of taking words that you normally use and acclimated and use in other words, sorry, in other terms, to the way it's used in the law. So me be going to school and learning things and a certain things mean certain things, and then I'm reading it. I'm reading these sorry, all these laws, and it's stating that what credit is, what a person is, and I'm just like, what? This is not what it says in the dictionary. Like, what is all this gibberish jabbish? So when I found out by reading and going through all the definitions and learning and studying all the definitions, it gave me a better understanding of what I was reading. So to me, I feel like I was reading nothing. So that's why I feel like it's so hard for a lot of people to kind of understand. But if you understand the definitions and you kind of relearn those definitions, it'll help you understand what you're reading better to actually know what your rights are as a human being.
Yeah, people think like you have to be at the level of an actual attorney, which really, if you're purchasing certain books, like even just the Black Law Dictionary,
Correct.
and taking your time and like really like understanding almost a word is almost like a sentence, like understanding what a person is, and you think a person is just you and me, and it's a little bit more complex than that, but it's easy to understand if you just take the time to study it.
Correct.
So you said you started studying with information from the Bureau bullies, or were you studying from some other directions too?
That's what exactly where I started was with the Bureau bullies, because being a part of RPX, you know, we learned about Brother Umar. I started following Brother Umar, and I forgot the name of his mentor. I don't want to say her name wrong.
I believe it's Asama, but I don't want to say it wrong
Yes,
either.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, correct. And I started following her, and I just started reading up and started attending and buying a lot of their information, and I realized even though buying all the information doesn't help you, the only thing that's going to help you is you really going into those books and studying and learning those laws. Nothing. There's nothing that can just teach you the magics to everything. There's nothing out there that's going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, commitment. All you gotta do is commit to studying, and then the rest of it will kind of come together. And that's a lot of the questions that I get in like some of the other videos, like in the comment sections. There's just like, where do I start? And I was like, well, I mean, even if you went just to the Bureau Bullies IG page, which is something they ask you to do, because that's free information, and just start from the bottom and study your way up. Then you're gonna want to like go get their books, and then you're gonna want to keep digging and find other information. But once you start executing it, once it start working, and maybe it's something small, maybe it's a collection on your credit report. But when you get to a point where, hey, you can go in a courtroom and you can stand on your own 2 feet and be like, hey, I know who I am as a consumer, and really defend yourself, like that's pretty huge.
It's true. They do give you the confidence that to build you up to actually take these steps. Because you just reading it by yourself, it's it's pretty hard. But I feel like as long as you study the FCRA, the TILA, and FDCPA, those are the 3 main bodies you're hitting. You pretty much can knock out pretty much anything.
Yep.
You just go to depth into those 3.
So I guess trying to think if I had any other questions. I think you kind of hit on everything. And I really appreciate you sharing your story, because that is a real life scenario. Like things happen, especially with parking tickets. I haven't had a court situation, but I've had a I've had a debt collector send me a letter regarding like an old camera ticket. So I did use consumer laws to address that, but I mean, it was a debt collector, so that was a bit more of a simpler process than actually getting the courts involved.
Well, they're debt collectors too. It's the same process.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They are debt collectors. If you really understand, like I said, once you read and understand the system, they are debt collectors. That's the reason why you're able to treat them so.
You know what? And I think a lot of people think that debt collectors are just like, I can't even think the name of them anymore, like LVNV or whatever those companies are. But
yeah.
But the IRS falls into that bucket too. Like there are a lot of companies that you think, oh, they're not debt collectors. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Like a lot of people know you don't really have to pay taxes if you understand consumer law.
Man, that's a whole nother, that is a whole nother topic. But that's true. That is exactly true.
You gotta know who you are and how to represent yourself.
And you gotta study. That's it. So I know other people are going to have questions that I may or may not be able to answer. Can you share some of your social media just in case people want to reach out?
Yes, my Instagram handle is the Wealth Building Chef. That is my Instagram handle. That's the only place you guys can get me at right now.
Oh, okay. Well,
or probably on Instagram too, but I'm barely on Instagram. So your best bet is on social media at Instagram.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you for, just taking the time, speaking to me. And like I said, people will probably hit you up and ask you a lot of questions. But again, thanks for your time.
Anytime.
All right.